Today we are going to multiply monomials by polynomials. Our two steps are to distribute and then make sure our answer is written in standard form. So that is the highest to lowest exponent, and it's written in alphabetical form if you have different variables. So when I look at this, I know that we have one variable, so I'm not going to need to worry about alphabetizing things, but I do need to make sure at the very end my exponents are organized from highest to lowest. So when I begin, I'm going to take this outside number and multiply it by the three terms that are inside that polynomial. So 3m squared times 4m squared will be the first two terms that I multiply. So 3 times 4 is 12. M is my base, and we remember that with our product rule, we add the exponent, so 2 plus 2 is 4. Looking at the next terms, we're going to multiply 3m squared times negative 10m. So be really careful with those signs, and I'm going to use parentheses here. So positive 3 times negative 10 is a negative 30. Then we have m, and again, we add those exponents. When I don't see it, it's an invisible 1, so 2 plus 1 is 3. And then last but not least, we multiply my 3m squared times my 7. Here we get 7 times 3, which is 21. And then we have m squared. There aren't any other variables to add to that, so we are done with the multiplication step. Okay, so now what I do is I look at these three terms and I see if any of them can be combined. Here we have an m to the power of 4, m3, m to the power of 2. None of those are going to be like terms, so all we need to do is organize it, and it looks like it's already in order for us because m to the power of 4 is my highest exponent, so then I'm just going to write negative 30m cubed plus 21m squared, and we are done. Similarly, we have one variable, so we're just going to distribute the x and then at the very end organize it from highest to lowest exponent. So starting with that negative x, we're going to multiply it with 4x squared. So negative x times 4x squared. Here we have negative 1 times 4, so that's going to be negative 4. And then I have x with my invisible 1 here, so 1 plus 2 is 3. Looking at my middle terms, I have negative x times negative 2x. Okay, so negative 1 times negative 2 is a positive 2. My base is x. I remember they both have invisible 1, so 1 plus 1 is 2. And then multiplying my last two, I have negative x times negative 6. Okay, so again, I do negative 1 times negative 6, which is a positive 6. And this one just has an x left over, so we are done with that. Looking at these three leftover terms, there's nothing I can combine, so I'm going to organize them right away from highest to lowest exponent. So I will have negative 4x to the power of 3 plus 2x squared plus 6x. Okay, and make sure that when you write your final answer, you are including a plus or minus in between all of the terms and not just smushing them next to each other. If you don't have a plus or minus sign between them, that would be incorrect. We have a rectangle, so sometimes they give you shapes and they ask you to find the area. So if we were to find the area of this shape, we know that the area of a rectangle is base times height or length times width. So when I multiply here, I am going to set this up as multiplication. And just to keep my calculations easier, I'm going to say that 2g is my base, and I'm going to say that 5g squared minus 8 is my height. You could switch them around the other way, but I like having the monomial in front, so the shorter term up front. From here, those steps are the same. So I'm going to multiply 2g times my 5g squared. Okay, so this is going to be 2 times 5, which is 10. G would be 1 plus 2, which is 3. And then looking at my next two terms, I would do 2g times negative 8. And I'm going back to parentheses. So 2 times negative 8 is a negative 16. Here we don't have any other variables to combine, so it would just be negative 16g. And then organizing these two, the 10g to the power of 3 would be first because that is my highest exponent. 16 is negative, so I'm going to put minus 16g, and we are done. This would be the area of that rectangle. Looking at example 4, we now have more variables here. So we just need to pay attention to our bases. So when I look at this first one, we're going to do gh squared times 4g to the power of 3. Okay, so I'm going to look and see if I have any other coefficients. So it'd be 4 times 1, which is just 4. So now I'm going to look at my g's only. G has an invisible 1 here, so 1 plus 3 is 4. And then I just have that h left over, and it's h squared, so that would be my first term. Then I'm going to multiply gh to the power of 2 times negative 2h. And when I look at this one, I'm going to do negative 2 first. I don't have any other large numbers to multiply that with, so that's all we got. And then looking at my g, we just have 1. And then h2 and h to the power of 1 would be h to the power of 3 here. Now, when we're looking at organizing these, I want to think about which letter comes first in the alphabet. And that is the letter G. So all I want to do is look at the two G's and see which one has the highest exponent. The highest exponent is 4, so we're lucky. We're going to keep it in this order. We're going to do 4g to the power of 4h squared minus 2gh cubed. Okay, if that g to the power of 4 was the bottom, then obviously we would have switched the terms. But this is your simplified answer for example 4. We have example 5. This one is very, very, very complex, probably more difficult than anything you're going to get on a state test. But as a challenge or a bonus, it doesn't hurt your brain to give it a shot. We're going to do negative 6x cubed y to the power of 4z times 3x first. So looking at all of this, we're going to multiply our coefficients. So 3 times negative 6 is a negative 18. And now I look at my x's. I see that I have 3 here and 1 over here. So that would give me 4 x's. And the other two terms don't change because I don't have anything to combine with them. We just put them on at the end. Then I do the first term times that negative 4. So rewriting all of that again. We multiply that with negative 4. So here we have negative 6 times negative 4, which is a positive 24. And then we don't have any variables to combine, so I can just rewrite my starting variables right away. From here, I'm going to multiply that first term times my last one. So we're going to have negative 6x cubed y to the power of 4z times 2y to the power of 10. 2 times negative 6 is a negative 12. We don't have any x's to combine, so we have x to the power of 3. Y's we do. We have 4 and 10, which is going to give us 14 y's, and then we have z. Looking at these three terms, I can see that we have x, y, and z in all of them. So all I'm going to care about right now are my x's. So when I look at my x's, the highest one I have is 4. So I know that this top number is going to be written first. Then when I look at my next two, x's are the same. They're both 3. So I need to go to the next letter of my alphabet, which is a y. So when I look at my two y's, I can see that my bottom one here has the highest exponent. So I'm going to write negative 12x to the power of 3 y to the power of 14 z next, and then I would end with my middle one of positive 24 x to the power of 3 y 4 and z. And if this one made sense start to finish, then you are an expert at multiplying monomials by polynomials.